Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, everybody? We are back. Obviously, we took last week off because we didn't want to interrupt your Valentine's dates with your honeys if you had them. If you didn't, we didn't want to interrupt your lonely time of reminding yourself that you're alone. No, I'm just kidding. But we were not here. We are here now, and I've got a crew with me. I got Joe, I got Brian, and I got my guy from his couch in his living room, Aaron St. Dennis in the house. What's up, everybody?
Man, your Valentine's Day must have been way more fun than mine.
It was very fun, by the way. That's good. Don't need to get into all that.
I feel personally attacked there, man. I'm in New Digs and I haven't set up a streaming room here yet. So you got me like couch. 6 hours before work. You got me in my man cave down here set up to watch hockey, and I'm on the
Too many men on the ice last night, by the way. Let's learn the rules.
Yeah. This is worse than listening to Kansas City opponents bitch about their refs. You know what? It was funny. I've been saying this to American fans on Twitter all day. From Saturday when they won, all week hockey was the biggest thing in the world. Then last night when Canada won, suddenly it's just an exhibition game and nobody cared anyways. Funny how quickly that changed, man.
It's just like my fantasy football takes. As I get new information, I change my opinion. And it's not wrong. I just know new stuff now.
Right. Hockey was happening.
It was a scrimmage that didn't matter, but I mean, still.
Look, speaking of new, it is new. It is time for 2025. We are in the off season. Everybody is tired of the Chiefs refs saga and the will there be a three-peat. We are ready for new champions. We are ready for the combine. We are ready for the draft. And speaking of combine, my guy Brian, I know that you are going to be there at the combine. Tell us a little bit what you're excited to see, maybe a couple players you're really excited to see work out. You know, I think there's a dynamic in the NFL where you see people on film, right? But then when you actually see them in real life and you see their burst and their quickness and like how they run and move, sometimes it changes that viewpoint, right? Like that it factor versus just game speed or things like that. Are there anybody that you're really pumped to see? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, quite honestly, I'm just glad I'm getting in there. I'm going to scope out Chris Ballard. Him and I are going to sit down. We're going to have a nice long chat. We're going to make sure the franchise moves in the right direction this offseason. No, but on the serious, like I'm super pumped to be out there. Going to be cranking out content out the wazoo that we're going to be dropping here on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Obviously, you know, we've got Hunter going out there. He's going out as a DB, but we're also going to see maybe some wide receiver workouts. So just kind of seeing him in the mix a little bit, getting to really check out these quarterbacks. You know, I know we have kind of like a consensus top 3 in these quarterbacks, but where would they fall in previous drafts? You know, obviously somebody's got to be the one, but where would they be a true one if we had some of the guys from last year? So just kind of seeing how they perform. And then the running backs. This running back room is absolutely stacked. So once you get past the top name guys, when you have, some of like Devin Neal and Ollie Gordon, like let's see some of them really start climbing into there to like that top 4 and top 5s, some of these top end metrics.
Aaron, I know you've been already digging in a little bit into rookies. This is a heavy running back set. I feel like the past couple of years, especially last year, we saw a lot in the wide receiver room. This feels like it could have some potential beast running backs and some guys that you might get later in drafts. Is there anybody that you're really like looking at, excited about, as you kind of started doing your off-season research?
I've learned there's nobody I'm not excited about, and there's nobody I am excited about until after the combine. Going into the combine, my board is 500 players long, and then we'll narrow it down. Actually, Brian, it's funny. I didn't know it was you who was going. I got creds last minute, but I couldn't make the trip, and I said, damn it, you know what? I can't afford the hotel last minute. Tell Brian I'm sleeping on his couch, but I didn't know what Brian it was. Dustin just told me Brian's going. Brian and somebody else, though. But I couldn't swing it, so you get to go all by yourself. Well, you guys get to go. No, you know what? I know you want to talk running backs. The biggest thing I want to learn out of this rookie class is actually Travis Hunter. That's the one. I know you mentioned it, Brian. That's the one I'm just dying. It's all I spend my time on. I mean, we have no real data here. Once we start getting some combine metrics, then I dive into my numbers. But for now, it's just kind of I want to see everyone, and I want to be able to quickly write a line through some names here next week and circle some others.
Well, I know Hunter's probably super intriguing for you as like an IDP guy, because there's a realm where he's actually, if they give him some dual roles, right? Some dual capabilities where you see really significant untapped effectiveness, do you think that that's a possibility in the NFL, or
That's where the issues are coming in on several different fronts. I reached out to Sleeper, and I can't get an answer definitively on how they're going to score it. So what I want to know is, say, like I play a lot of IDP. Say by some slim chance he does play full-time on both sides of the ball. I think it's very, very unlikely. I think he's going to be a full-time corner who plays maybe 15 to 25% of wide receiver snaps. So I think it's going to be a moot point. But say he does manage to play on both sides of the ball. How are they going to score it in IDP? Because if they score it where I have one guy who can score me double points, he's the most valuable player in IDP rookie drafts. If he doesn't get, he can only get 1 point or one scored on one, he's a great IDP rookie. I want nothing to do with him on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, just a guy simply that you can play in an IDP position and then also can go out there for maybe like a red zone package, go in there and catch you a touchdown, drop an extra 6-8 points, just like that. That is, yeah, like you said, invaluable, as you would see there for those leagues.
I don't see how they can stop you, though. Like, what happened in previous years? Like, let's say, like Trey Hendrickson last year, like when he caught the touchdown pass. Like, did you get offensive points for him, or like what did they do? Because I could see how they could limit you on like, hey, like Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. We're not playing him at quarterback, or like he is. But if they do stuff on the field, can they not give you points for that?
I was trying to think of that if there were any situations where it came up, and I couldn't remember. Like you said, Hendrickson, I don't remember actually how that was scored. I feel like their special teams, like for Hunter, I feel like if he does kick returns or something, they might count that. But if he's a wide receiver out there, I have no idea how they're going to score this. And no one from Sleeper has confirmed or denied what the heck they're going to do. You know what else I want to add into this? By some slim chance, if he does play full-time on both sides of the ball, that's also terrifying because now he has twice the chance of getting injured, and it's going to happen. So I don't know. He's the most intriguing. He's absolutely terrifying. If you're in offense only there, like I see him going as the 106, there's no way I'm touching him in the first round of offense only. I don't even know if he's going to play offense.
Right.
Yeah, no, they did say that, like as a route runner, like obviously he's an athlete, right? He's a stellar athlete, and an athlete can win, right? An athlete can be coached. But, as far as his his route running abilities, like they weren't as strong, but obviously playing DB, you've got a structure of high pointing the football. So there's a ton of possibility with him. I am also intrigued. I'm with you in an offense only. I'm not that interested in going for him early. There's some other players that I have that I would like to get a hold of. But this class is full of people like that. They're just like on the fringe on like where you're going to really value them. But I think most people probably are going to look to take him up there in that range.
He's going as the 106.
It's crazy.
I don't have if this is this is 2 QB. So the 106. I seen a mock draft that Pat Fitzmaurice did, and he has him as the 209. Even that seems a little high, but like I don't want him. I forget 106. I don't even have him as the top 6 receiver. I don't think he's going to play that much. What are you going to have?
It's such an interesting evaluation because there is something to be said of like, hey, like how good can you play when you're playing the whole game? And if he's focused on one side, how much better can he be?
Well, he's arguably the best defensive player in the draft. I don't even think it's arguably. I think he is. He's going to be one of the top defensive backs in the league from day one. I don't see he's not going to be the wide receiver 1 in the league. He's far better as a cornerback than a wide receiver. I don't see why any team would draft him and not play him full-time as a corner.
I think the only situation that I could see unfolding, and based on how he's going to the combine, I don't think this would happen. But if he says, hey, I only want to play wide receiver because they get paid more.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he's going to the combine saying I'm primarily a cornerback, I feel like he's setting himself up for that. Because I do think he's going to get drafted higher as a cornerback than he would as a wide receiver.
No, that's a fair assessment. So, you guys know during the show, we like to, go over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and answer some questions live. And I'm going to tap into this one because I think it's going to go into some rookie conversation and some free agency conversation. So we're going to hop over there right after this video.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
All right, so we got one up here, and I've got to kind of
Tyler, man, every time you play that ad and I see the Reddit section, I get triggered all over. I hate fantasy football Reddit. It is a horrible place.
Why? I love it.
I can't stand it. You can't win. It doesn't matter what you write. You can't win.
You definitely have to come correct, and you definitely have to come in with a pretty firm stance. I know.
No. You can write 1 + 1 = 2, and someone's going to argue you're wrong, and it's just based on Donald Trump or whatever it is. They're going to find some way to make it Anyways, let's move on before I get triggered, please.
I think we're past that.
Yeah.
So I had to scroll up a little bit because Brian had his answer down here in the chat on this question. But, this is Geezer. And, real quick, just so you guys know, on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, you have everybody has free access to the general channels. So this is the football general where, everybody is talking, fantasy football, and you can post your question. People go in, interact, check in with you. So this is one from the Geezer, and he said, question of the day, Dak Prescott. Is he a bargain or a bust? Do you think Jones will sign another receiver that demands some defensive attention to help Lamb? And will, he draft a running game? What is the projection for Dak this year? And Dak is obviously one of those polarizing people. I'm not saying polarizing as in everybody is oh man, the talent. I'm saying polarizing is you're either on one side of you love Dak or you are on the other side of Dak needs to go. But he's that middle player where you can really make arguments both ways, right? So, going into this season, and maybe you can start us off, Joe. Are you in on Dak? Are you ready for them to move on, or what do you think? Do you think Jones, does anything in the draft to actually help him?
So if we look at the last full healthy season that Dak had, Dallas had pretty prolific passing offense. They didn't have really much on the running side, and they had a pretty porous defense that forced them to throw the ball a whole lot, right? One of the big things that concerns me about Dak Prescott, which wasn't the case before he had all of these different injuries, is that he's very much not a scrambler that he once was, where he would take off, run, get you some yards, and it up the floor a little bit. I think what we're seeing in fantasy football today, especially as you have these kind of new wave of quarterbacks coming out, in order to be truly fantasy relevant, you have to have some semblance of running the ball. Even if you're not necessarily design run Lamar Jackson, you look at somebody like Drake May, you think about Drake May, and you're like, oh, like he's just this random white dude. He ain't running too much. But if you look back at college, if you look at even just in his rookie year, dude was running the ball a lot. So you have so many guys that are willing to move. Dak isn't one of those guys. I think in like a super flex format, he's a fine and capable QB2. But as far as like somebody that I'm drafting in redraft, it's somebody that I would probably pass on, even though he has an elite talent in CeeDee Lamb that he's throwing the ball to. I'd much rather have CeeDee than I'd have Dak.
I think that's the nice thing about Dak, though, is the price right now. So, like right now, if you're looking at an underdog, he's going at QB 16. That's borderline that's streaming quarterback in redraft terms, So like that's a guy that you're drafting at the end, but you can drop him after week 3 and pick him back up on week 5 and play him on week 7. I think what we really need to grasp here is we have our second Matt Ryan. He is back. That is what we're getting with Dak. If you go back and you look at the fantasy finishes of Matt Ryan, fantasy finish number 3. Fantasy finish number 18. Fantasy finish number 5. Fantasy finish number 20.
Yeah,
Dak
I believe
is
it was
right
like
there.
Even years he was like MVP level, and then odd years it was.
Let's go back looking at Dak. Finish 31, 3, 18, 8, 32, 2, 14, 10. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Ryan for the Dallas Cowboys is playing it right here. And you know what? When you finish at QB 31, you're finishing all the way at the other end. I think we're looking at a top 5, top 3 finish for Dak just based on this pattern alone. Like, do we need real science? Absolutely not. Not when we have concrete research that we're pulling up right here. So, needless to say, you don't have to spend a top 5 pick on that guy. You're getting him in streaming category, and I'm all in for it. I'm willing to take him. He's going right around guys that don't run like CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, Tua. I'll take Dak over those guys.
Man, I do agree. I do agree with the value assessment. I think that Dak has hit that point where people feel like maybe he's fading, right? And I think he is fading, but that makes his price really cheap. Like, you in normal redraft leagues, you were getting like Matt Stafford in like the teens, you were getting people like that way late. So Dak feels like going into this year, he's almost in that afterthought level where like the value is there. I'm especially looking if they get somebody good in free agency, they bring in a good running back, like, that gets me hyped. Really, they need to address some O-line. Because that O-line,
that Zach Martin just retired too.
Yeah, that O-line is really what needs to be addressed. Otherwise, he's just going to get beat up again.
I was hoping he was in free agency, Zach Martin.
One, Brent Bradford popping in, love the show. Are there any quarterbacks you think worth drafting in this draft? I need a quarterback, so trying to think if I draft one or trade one. And that's where you get to it. Is like, if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I need a quarterback this year in the draft. I don't love any of this year's quarterbacks. So like if I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I don't know, like I would go for a deep grab on somebody that could get relevance, especially if they get put in a competing role, right? Like if Quinn Ewers is drafted in the 5th round by the Titans, like I'm interested in a late round grab there,
Where's the first round pick you have is what I want to know. Early, late?
I don't think.
Back to that question just a little bit is like, if you either like, are any of the guys worth taking? Let's say it's the first round period, right? Or is this a better year? And again, I'm not hype on any of the quarterbacks. Is it a better year to maybe take a second round or like even a third round pick and get a Stafford or a Dak or somebody that's kind of fading? Even like a second round pick might pull you Trevor Lawrence if it's early enough, who's still kind of young, or I think you kind of have to pay up for any of the rookies coming in, like a Drake May or something like that. I think he played too good.
JJ McCarthy, you can flip a pick for him. I'd take him over any of the quarterbacks in this class.
You could probably get McCarthy maybe for a second round pick if the person that drafted him is not attached, or if they I haven't seen if Darnold has some kind of longevity there, could put a damper in it. But at this rate, which way are you going? I mean, are any of these guys exciting enough for you to spend your first round pick on it against a running back or a wide receiver?
No. Cam Ward, it doesn't really excite me, and I think the teams that he's going to have just been perpetual failures, so I don't have a lot of confidence. Like, if he goes to the Browns, it's like, well, that's your career. Sorry, buddy. Like, it just doesn't work out there. Sanders is going to be a very polarizing player. I've seen people be like, he's definitely QB1. If he would have been last year, he would have been like the third or fourth QB taken. I personally, just like from the way that he's acted, doesn't seem like a leader to me. And I think that's like, he's going to have a hard time getting buy-in from grown men that have been doing this. It's like, cool. Like, your dad was the coach. You are Deion's son. Well, guess what? Like, we don't care about that here. So he's somebody that I'm kind of out on. And then after that, there's not really anybody that's even in the conversation for first round worthy.
Jackson Dart, I know there's some hype with him. If he finds his way in the first round, depending on where he goes, I am interested there, at least, super flex, as long as we're, mainly with these guys. But yeah, I'm with y'all. I think I'd rather take one of these second-year quarterbacks if I could flip that for one of these picks because the hype's going to grow. The hype is absolutely going to grow 2-3 weeks out from the NFL draft, and you could probably, get a Drake May, absolutely a JJ McCarthy for one of these picks.
Ward and Sanders are going QB 25-26 in startup ADP in the group of Darnold, Geno, Stafford, Fields, Russ, and Derek Carr. So that should tell you where the industry values them. So yeah,
I do think, though, to Brian's point, there's something about pro days and combine that gets people super bricked up about like quarterbacks that aren't very good. Like, if you look at like Zach Wilson, like the money throw that he had in the combine, like that got him picked top 3, like for no reason other than he was able to throw in shorts off his back foot. So I think our players, like I think Jackson Dart could make himself a lot of money if he has a good pro day. I think Cam Ward, like he has like the arm strength to say, hey, look, I can do these things. So I think that they are pretty deflated right now.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I think on the point of JJ, there was a snippet of a news thing that I saw today that said they're considering Sam Darnold as a long-term like extension in Minnesota, but the franchise tag isn't likely. Obviously, February, none of these news articles mean anything, but I think with all of the uncertainty in Minnesota, his price kind of either holds, or if Darnold walks away, then it's going to immediately shoot up. So I think now if that's somebody that you're going to attack, I'm not a JJ McCarthy guy, but if you are, I think now is the time to go and get him. This is probably the lowest that he's going to be pending how the news breaks for him in Minnesota.
For sure.
So Brent said he has the 1.5, so that's what he's dealing with. So you probably have 2.5, 3.5. I mean, I think you'd spend like the 2-5 and you could get like I think T-Law probably, especially if it's only a one quarterback league. I think that's probably an easy pull. If it's super flex, I think it's a little bit harder. But if you can find a running back needy team, you could probably get somebody decent with that 1-5 that could actually be a staple for you for a while.
If you're 1-5, I don't know if you get either of the quarterbacks. They're going at 102 and 104. You
In
might not even have
Superflex?
that option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Shedder at 102, Cam Ward at 104.
Maybe. So in that case, maybe you. I mean, I think the hype. Like I said, I think that you can get enough hype on a receiver or a running back to make a trade like that for the 1-5.
That's why you don't do it now, though.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, wait.
That pick only gets more valuable as we get closer to the draft.
You
100%.
hit that right there, Brian. Like right, and Aaron, I'm glad you seconded it. In Dynasty, there, you can't get on your picks too early because like when you're working with picks, like right now, I'm trading for picks because I'm getting picks at value. Like they're not hyped yet. There's people that are like right now, everybody's sitting in the seats we are right now where they're like, I'm just not sure about this class. I don't know if anybody really sticks out to me, right?
And
like
people are so bored because they're used to doing fantasy all the time. And it's like, well, now what do I do? And it's like, oh, let me just blow up my whole team and get 28 picks. Like, what are we doing?
Get those picks
outside.
Now, though. Those picks start going up Thursday Friday when the running backs and whatnot start. When that combine kicks off, they start going up.
You see an RAS score of 10, and then it's like a pick just like goes insane.
But that's what happens. So if you're ready to deal a pick, like if I'm in your shoes, Brent, I'm waiting because one, the combine is going to light it up, right? Like it's going to light it up. Then if you really want to push, you go draft, right? Because after the draft, then you see landing spots, you see quarterbacks with potential year one potential, you see running backs, wide receivers drafted at killer spots. And then at that point, you're probably debating on whether or not you should move this pick or not. Because you're probably like, oh man, I might can get Tet here, or whatever. So you're debating on making the pick, but just like you're debating on trading that pick, that means somebody else wants it so much more. And I think that if I'm still not in on any of the quarterbacks this year, but I think at that point, your 1-5 could churn you. Your 1-5 might churn you, Mahomes or Hurts. I mean, it might pull you. It could pull you one of those guys just because people get soft on vets, right? Like they're excited about rookies. They get soft on vets, and they're like, oh, this veteran is like Josh Allen is going to be, 30 to 29 this year. He's getting old. It's time to move him, And I'm like, great, let me give you my 1-5 and my 2-5, and you give me Josh Allen, and we'll celebrate all night long. It's.
And also, if that does happen to you, send me a league invite real quick.
You trade that pick the week after the NFL draft. That's the week where you have your rookie draft set up for August. And right after the NFL draft hits, everyone's like, screw it. We got to do it this week. Let's move it up because they all have rookie fever. That's when you do it. When they start moving the rookie drafts up. Well, not August, from June or whatever it is.
Hell, mine usually start the Sunday after the NFL draft. Is when most of my rookies. I can't get any of those guys to pull back.
I always do my rookie drafts a week after the actual NFL draft to just try to make sure that, I like to do this style where we follow the league, the league schedule. So it feels a little realistic, like I'm, managing my own NFL franchise because in my mind I'm capable of that and would love to do it. But, it's living out the dream. I was the guy that played Madden and I never played the games. I just built teams,
We'll have the rookie draft set up for the following weekend. And by 9 a.m. Monday morning, the day after the draft, they'll be foaming at the mouth to start it at noon already. That's when you tell.
No clock. We'll just go ahead and turn it on. So if somebody wants to draft, they can. Like, dude.
Yeah. And then you have 12 picks in 30 seconds with no clock on.
And then the draft ends, and everybody's like, well, now what? And it's like, well, you should.
Who wants to do a startup?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's the worst.
Best ball is so profitable.
Right. No kidding.
So are there, Brian, and I'm going back to you at the draft, and I have two in mind. So, I'll follow up with those two players specifically. But who are there anybody that are like so close to each other in your evaluation that like maybe you're going in looking for some kind of separation?
Yeah, I will say at the wide receiver, I feel like it's kind of a consensus 4-ish, 3-ish at the top. And Tet McMillan from Arizona has been like the top wide receiver on just about consensus everywhere. Luther Burden, like I'm liking him more and more, and he's sneaking right there. I'm really interested to kind of see these metrics that we get here at the combine, just to get more. Because me as a taller fella, I do feel like I have a little bias towards taller wide receivers. This guy Tet McMillan, 6'5", like dude, we can high five together. That's my kind of, I feel comfortable around that. And then sometimes I feel like I'm a little biased towards these like 5'11", 6-foot receivers. So I don't want to go in there biased. I don't want to pick him just because he's massive, but we've seen the highlight catches. We've seen the little contour, like the kid played Twister as a kid.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see kind of how these two go head to head.
Yeah. What about you, Joe? Anybody you're really pumped about?
I think for me, we've seen in the last couple years where you've had immediate impacts, which isn't typically the case in fantasy football for rookie tight ends. So Kyle Pitts came out, had 1,000-yard season. It was a big deal. He was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. But fun fact about Kyle Pitts, every year he's increased his touchdowns by 1. So by year 10, he's going to be putting up 10 touchdowns, and then he's going to be a fantasy steal. So just keep that in your head. He's like one of the only players that ever he's had 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So he's locked for 5 touchdowns basically. But you keep going. We had Sam Laporta had the big year. Then you look at last year, Brock Bowers did amazing things. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, they're the 2 top guys for this year. Tyler Warren had one of the best college football tight end seasons that we've ever seen. Loveland didn't do as much on the field as far as numbers, but he has a lot of hype as far as like his build, profile, all that sort of stuff. So I'm really curious to see how those guys test. Tyler Warren's projected to be the higher profiled guy, but he's not expected to score as well. He was a quarterback for a good while, transitioned over to tight end. So I'm really curious to see how those guys do and how they compare, because they have a lot of money riding on this. I mean, you have people saying as early as like the Jets that you could see some of these guys going in the draft. So it's going to be big for him.
Warren's hype has gone crazy. People are obviously in on him. I've seen him mocked in the first. Like I've seen him hit Brock Bowers territory in mocks, which is absolutely insane to me. Especially somebody that took so long to really like develop into like that household name. What's up, Mike? Mike tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in. And tight ends sometimes take so long. Like Cardinal here says Pitts is not great. Evan Ingram 2.0.
So I also love Evan Ingram, so like that's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, no, what he's saying is Pitts just needs to go to a new team. Pitts will be great when he goes to the Colts next season when he gets traded.
Right. Like Pitts is like a slow start. Evan Ingram came in and was like a huge talent, right? Like this big fast receiver or tight end that was going to be just this new aspect of the position, right? And he couldn't stay healthy. They didn't use him well. He had like one season that was semi-decent, and then it was like mundane. So then he goes to Jacksonville, and all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence revives him, or whatever, even though he's still banged up. But like, is that Pitts? Like, are we gonna have to wait 6 years before he starts really going off? Or does he ever even reach that? Like, I do think he needs to put on some weight, but, I don't know.
Tyler, let me ask you this. Where do you think Tyler Warren is going in best ball drafts right now? What tight end do you think he's going?
In best ball drafts? I don't know. Probably like he can't go top 10. It'd have to be
he's definitely top 10.
5.
8.
8.
He is 8 right now in best ball.
He's tight end 4 on Keep Trade Cut.
Loveland is 16 in best ball.
That's crazy. Don't buy the hype, folks. Never buy.
We saw it with Sennett last year. We saw it with Sennett. I was banging the drum for Ertz, man.
freaking yeah. You got Senate, like, don't buy hype on a top, like a rookie being top 4. Like, yes, we saw it in freaking Laporta, but Laporta wasn't projected for that. Laporta was like a 3rd round rookie draft pick. You lucked into that, right?
And Bowers was generational. Like, I don't see these guys as generational. Like, Brock Bowers did it from the time he got to Georgia all the way through. So I was like, okay, I think we've seen it.
Bowers is an anomaly. Even like Trey McBride. It took Trey McBride, a couple years before he really started.
Why? Why? Because he spent a year stuck behind Ertz. Just like he's going to be good next year.
I don't know. They may keep Ertz for one more year. We'll see. That's awesome. The rookie hype sometimes is just so crazy. I can't believe like tight end that early. You don't even know his drafting spot yet. Like, what
doesn't matter?
Oh my goodness. I mean, but like he's not like when I watch him play, it gives me like, like Mayerfield, like Michael Mayer feels, right? Like tight end a couple years out of Notre Dame, who's now cemented himself behind Brock Bowers, as really the block.
Somebody that I would totally try to like trade for like a 4th round pick. I still think it has the potential.
I agree with you, but I think he's one of those where it's like his next team he lands on, right? Yeah. Like Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz took so long to become relevant. Like it.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It just happens that way with tight ends. So, like, I can't, unless he goes to a team that has no starting tight end, no hope at that position, then maybe. But
it was fun. The hype was fun. Do you remember the combine sled drill in Darnell, Washington? Do you remember that? Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Dude, I will say this though.
I mean, shares I have
for a lineman now.
Shut up.
Hey. Marty Smith loves him a good tight end too, baby. So we'll see.
That's incredible. Incredible. So Aaron, are there 2 players that you find really close that you're like looking for separation at the combine?
Oh yeah, my first answer was Burden and Tet, and I said, "Oh shit, I'll just pivot to the tight ends." And then Joe stole that. Actually, the only difference I had was for the tight ends, I added Harold Fannin Jr.
Yeah, let's go Bowling Green, baby, 1,500 yards.
Yeah. Other than that, no. Those were my 2 answers, you fuckers.
This is what happens when we don't do a pre-show.
Oh my gosh. So for me, it's at the running back position. I have struggled this season with this, like, TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins breakdown, like who's going to do what, who are you looking at? And like, even when you look at the stats, like they're not very different. And so like I think that they both could have extreme value, but like, I mean, listen to this. So yards, right? TreVeyon Henderson this season, 1,016. Judkins this season, 1,060. Touchdowns. Henderson, 10. Judkins, 14. Now, yards per carry average, Henderson, 7.1. And Judkins 5.5 because he had more carries. But they're so tight in like actually skill and evaluation even in the same offense.
Landing spot and draft capital.
100%.
Say what?
100%.
That's what's going to, those 2, it's going to be, for me, landing spot and draft capital is what tells them apart. Because they're so close.
Honestly, the top, 9 guys for me, I think it's going to be where it is. Like, where do these guys land? We're going to have probably some of these 4th round running backs that might be more intriguing than the 2nd round, just based on how deep this running back class is and where they land.
I like Scatterbo and Neal.
Yeah.
How many of them do you think we see in the first round of the draft?
None. Well, Gentry. Oh,
I'd say
I don't
2
know.
at max.
I don't.
Genty will definitely go first round.
I still say none. I'm sticking with none.
So
I don't know.
I'm gonna go 1.
If it was 2.5, I'd take the under, but 1.5, it's hard just to say the 1. Like, who knows with this? Like
This, I mean, really, there's a lot of teams that are like needing that next guy. I mean, Dallas needs a running back.
And yeah, but every year and they never do it. We say this is the perfect spot. And the second round last year and they passed. And Carolina took Jonathan Brooks. They never do it. I mean, Jonathan Brooks is a wash.
Yeah, it worked for them to take Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. Like, I mean, it happens, and then like, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it goes, how it works out.
Corey.
We got Corey in the chat. He said, "I swear, if Dallas takes a running back in round 1,
Hey,
what are they, 12? I think
Luka, so like anything's possible now.
they need a freaking offensive tackle. They need to find a real
Dallas.
offensive tackle.
Jerry's like, wait, there's another GM being talked about more in Dallas than me. Watch this.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
my God. You know, they're going to trade. They're going to trade that pick away to get Derrick Henry. No, I'm just kidding. They won't do that. That would be awful. I mean, not that Derrick Henry's awful. Just like if you were trying to buy.
Taking Genty.
Say what?
I'm looking at the draft order right now. What's the earliest team you could see taking Genty? I know Dallas wants one or wants a running or needs a running back, but 12, that's insane.
I've seen a mock at him at 7 to the Jets.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, also
they already have
saying
Hall.
it's
Like, why
possible.
would you do that?
Brees is on a contract year. He's never hit 1,000 rushing yards. Like, I didn't like it either, but like top names that are throwing out, like put out mock drafts, have them there. So like like you said, I've seen the tight end go to the Jets as well. I have no idea what they're going to be doing.
Patriots at 4.
Raiders,
yeah.
So I picked
6.
I just pulled up a CBS mock draft, and they had Genty at the 20th overall pick to Denver.
that would be crazy.
Denver,
I kinda
Pittsburgh,
love that.
Chargers are like 3 straight where he won't go past them.
Pittsburgh's going to
whole
take a
backfield's
defensive
gone,
tackle.
right?
They spent the whole Senior Bowl looking at defensive tackles. They're probably going to
There's
take
so
Kenneth
many
Grant.
though. There's so many details.
I think they'll double dip. I think they're going to go wide receiver.
One on the depth chart is Cordero Patterson, is it not?
Yeah, that's all they have.
And that 21 makes sense.
If they take another first-round running back when their team isn't ready to compete, I don't know what I will do.
Considering they never pay them ever.
Wow.
Same with the receivers.
So NFL.com writer had published mock draft and has Genty going at number 12 to Dallas Cowboys. So there you go, Corey. Dream come true. I was trying to see if there was another running back anybody had inside the
at 12, so he can back up Zeke.
I'd love to see the Cowboys take a wide receiver in the first round because they can get a running back in round 2 or 3, but the wide receivers dry up real quick.
So this draft has a second running back in the first round pick in Omarion Hampton.
Okay, hear me out. I know we like some of the tight ends. Could you imagine if Dallas takes Tyler Warren at 12 with how much Dak loves tight ends? Good God. That's nuclear.
They have Warren.
Oh, he won't go that high. That's ridiculous.
He might.
They have. So this one actually has Colston Loveland above Warren going to Denver at 13 based on a trade up.
I've seen a lot of talk about the Colts actually going tight end as
Colts,
well.
it has Warren going 14 to the Colts.
Yeah. We were supposed to get Brock Bowers, and then the Raiders said, watch this.
Man, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for the draft. I can't wait for the combine. I'm pumped for rookies. I love Dynasty football. If you don't play Dynasty fantasy football, you need to. You need to get into Dynasty fantasy football. It adds a whole nother level to it. I know we have a ton of redraft players that watch this show. Absolutely awesome to play Dynasty and have to look at rookies and draft your players. Just a whole nother dynamic to the game. We got big draft energy. Mac Hollins legacy game is the right and only answer. That is all.
That's right.
Why would you encourage fantasy football players to get into Dynasty?
Oh, because it's so wonderful.
That's like saying someone who likes Coke, here's crack. Like, what are we doing?
You can only do it lightly. I do think the thing, though, is that it's something to keep in mind if you're doing the whole Dynasty thing, is that Dynasty is very much more an off-season game. Once you get into the thick of it, most likely you're not making a lot of week in, week out roster decisions. There's not going to be a lot of waiver things that happen throughout the course of the year. So Dynasty is really like the off-season fun. If you haven't done it before, don't do like 5 startup drafts like right away. Just like,
yeah, please God.
You just do like 1 or 2. Put the toe in the water, see how.
Have a little patience with it. Let it work.
It's a learning experience.
Don't at all. Have you played Dynasty? You want to win a Dynasty league, forget that it's Dynasty and draft like it's redraft. That way, when it tanks after year 1, you win it anyways, because they all tank anyways.
It's a numbers game. It's like when I was in college, I wasn't going to get 1 to say yes. I wasn't going to win the first time. I got to play like 20 different games to figure out if I'm going to win, Dynasty. I finally joined 20 leagues this year. I finally got a chip. Got my first Dynasty chip. Let's go.
All right. You got Big Draft Energy. Best Ball is the heroine. Best Ball is making waves. It is a new way to play, but it is for the people. I will say this: Best Ball is for the people that love to draft. Like, I'm just going to draft 500 teams. I don't want to do any of the upkeep. I don't want to have to worry about trades or anything. I'm just going to draft 500 different leagues, and hopefully some of them win, Yeah,
and if you don't draft Jamar Chase at 1, Disco will find you and probably beat you up. So.
You know what? People play Best Ball, right? It's so at the end of the year. It's at the end of the year they can have a share of every player in the league to say, look, I told you I was in on him. I have him on this team. That's why they do it.
Corey said Dallas always reaches. They want their 3rd rounder in the 1st. Oh, that's hilarious. Who knows with Dallas? I'm guaranteeing at some point in the draft they will mess it up and will leave all their fans going, why is Jerry Jones the GM?
If I was Dallas or like somebody that didn't draft well, I would just go and like have someone spying on the Eagles and then spying on the Ravens, because I always feel like they have magnificent drafts year after year. It's like, Eagles, Kyle Hamilton's just gonna fall to us. Like Howie always has something up his sleeve. Like you look at like how he did it, or even like the Rams, like they completely revitalized their defense in one draft last year. Like, what was that?
Yeah, it's awesome. So big draft dinner said draft it and forget it unless you're winning a life-changing amount of money. Fair enough. No, if you do play, Big Draft Energy, drop your promo in the chat. If you do want to play best ball, you go over to Drafters, and you can try play Underdog, but Drafters, the new platform, is pretty good. Kind of, yep. And our guy there is always doing drafts, so welcome to go over there and support them. Corey said best ball is the TikTok of fantasy football. People love it, and then they throw it, and even though it is trash. It is pew pew.
It's the best. It's the best. The amount of times I'd wake up early on a Sunday morning, go grab a nice little cup of coffee, something like that, sitting on the porch and just drafting.
Yeah, it's like, let me just scroll my TikTok. Let me just draft real quick. Go, no, I'm good.
Going out to dinner with my wife's friends. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Oh, I'm going to draft real quick. It's awesome.
My wife hates that. I do drafting best ball. She's like, "Are you drafting again? Are you really drafting again?" Like, I'm like, I've only done like 3 of these.
Babe, I don't have a stack right now. I need to get
my guy keeps getting I keep getting. Oh man. Okay. All right. Look, we're gonna round this thing out, guys. Appreciate you for coming on, Aaron, Brian, Joe. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. We will see you next week, Friday, 9:00 Central, or in this case, this week, 9:15. No, 9:00 Central. Always a good time from the forum. We'll see you guys. Go to Fantasy Sports Advice.
The network.
And sign up. And Corey said, turn the heater on my house. No, I'm in my jacket because I came straight from the car to get to the computer and do this show because we didn't get out of work until like right at time. Anyways, keep rocking it out. We'll see you next week. Later.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.